Hello, this is Diana. This is my Trail Bridges of the Universe podcast. Some of you might know me from my YouTube channel, Trail Bridges of the Universe, where I help you unapologetically and fearlessly live your best, most authentic life. I help you break through your barriers and transcend limitations you may have. On this podcast, my content will be bridging spirituality, emotional healing, and also self-improvement. So today's topic, I want to talk about the consciousness shift that's going on the planet, or the Great Awakening, whatever you want to call it. Some people might call it 3D to 5D. Some people might just call it frequency shift, Earth is ascension, whatever you want to call it. I don't like to get too into the labels of it. But basically what's going on, we are shifting in our consciousness. What is consciousness? It's really awareness. It's expanding our awareness. You see on a mass level, the world is going through a great awakening. Some people are waking up sooner than others. What kind of awakening? We call it a spiritual awakening. And some people have too many expectations of what a spiritual awakening is. But really, you're just waking up from the illusions, waking up from the programming, and finding out who you truly are, which is an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. A lot of us are caught up in illusions. A lot of us are caught up in separation consciousness, which is going on. But really, we are all one. We are all connected. And we have forces on this planet that have for years tried to separate us, keep her in a lower frequency. They do this by means of using the lower frequency, such as fear, which is the lowest frequency, keeping us in grief and fear and apathy, or sometimes we're so traumatized that we end up just being in apathy, basically not caring, right? Just kind of whatever, right? Just kind of giving up the will to be something more. And all this is done by design. A lot of us are programmed to believe we are not worthy, and we are limited beings, but nothing could be further from the truth. Think about it this way. If you were not powerful, there wouldn't be forces that are trying to harvest your energy and keep you in a low frequency and control you. You have to look at it that way. So, these forces on the planet, they need our energy to survive. They need to keep us in fear. They need us in a negative, lower vibration, so they are in power. But a lot of people are waking up to this. You saw what just happened. We had the pandemic, right? A lot of people, that caused an awakening for a lot of people. And amongst other things, we're seeing truths are being revealed on the planet. We're seeing some celebrities are being exposed. Some of the darker stuff that's been going on is coming to light. That's also part of the frequency shift. The shadow is coming up, is being illuminated. Before, things that were done in the dark are now being brought to awareness and are being illuminated, are being very apparent. But there are some people that still, it's in their face, it's in plain sight, and people still don't want to accept it. They're rejecting it, but remember, what you resist persists. In order for us to raise frequency on this planet, in order for us to raise a vibration, we have to let go of the things that do not serve us. When we're shifting to our optimal timeline, we have to let go of the things that do not serve us. It's basically just letting go of the things that are bringing us down. It could be certain people, it could be certain habits, it could be maybe certain music we're listening to keeping us lower vibration. It could be TV programming, right? It could be bad habits, it could be substances, it could be social media, it could be the fear-based news, right? I'm going to get started on the food. A lot of the food, the chemicals they have in it, and a lot of the food keeps us in a low vibration. So it takes a lot of work to want to do better and to be more than this. A lot of us have been programmed. A lot of us, our mind, body, and souls are used to this programming, the negativity. We become addicted to fear. We become addicted to stress, even grief, right? And then some people, it's just so overwhelming that it's easier just to go along with the programming. It's easier just to be the same than to change, right? Think about how your subconscious mind works. Your subconscious mind doesn't like change, right? It wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you in the same pattern. So when you try to do all of these things to change and to make you into a better person, right? Raise your vibration, raise your frequency. whether it's having new healthier habits, and you're not used to that, how do you think you're going to react to that? It'll often try to self-sabotage to bring you back to normal. Or you'll feel very tempted to go back to your old habits because that's what you've been feeding your mind, body, and soul for a long time now. And it's hard. It takes more effort to go against the grain. It takes more effort to be different. It takes more effort to raise your vibration. That's why you'll see a lot of resistance from a lot of people. And a lot of people aren't willing to look at the shadow. We talk about shadow work, right? What is shadow work really, right? It's kind of taking a look at your shadow, which is basically fears that have been unconsciously running your life. It could be emotional trauma. It could be unresolved issues from the past of any kind. It could be even habits, right? It could be insecurities. It could be just limiting beliefs. There's so many different levels. So what the shadow consists of, it's different for everybody, right? But we're seeing on a mass level that people are being forced to face their shadow. And only when we integrate the shadow is when we can really raise the vibration and shift as a collective. So it doesn't always mean you're okay with it, just accepting, hey, this is a part of me. You're integrating the darker aspects of yourself that maybe you're scared of or you don't want to deal with. Remember, we want to have a balance of dark and light. It's not just all light. Much light can blind you, right? We want to integrate the darkness too. We are in this 3D realm, this 3D reality, where there's duality, right? So it's important. Do we have to accept the darker parts of ourselves, accept them, and integrate them? I made a previous episode on becoming alchemists of your life, on how to transmute some of this energy, working with your darker energy, right? Using it to empower you. Think about it. Once you face your fear, once you've resolved your emotional trauma, once you overcome your limiting beliefs and anything else that's still holding you back from becoming your best version, you're unstoppable. You can really achieve anything. There's nothing that can scare you. There's nothing that can put you in fear. There's nothing that can hold you back, right? You've already faced the darkest aspects of yourself. So then also other forces can't really control you or manipulate you because you've already done the shadow work. You've already faced your shadow. You're already integrating the shadow. So it doesn't really affect you that much. Yeah, they can try. I'm not saying we're not going to get triggered ever. I'm not saying that. But you'll find yourself not getting triggered as much. You'll find yourself more in control of your life. You'll find yourself having more courage to live the life you want and to make these changes and to become your best version. You'll feel more motivated and you'll just feel more powerful. Remember, you are a powerful creator, and that's part of the consciousness shift too. Realizing we're a powerful creator. Realizing that we don't have to live by all these programmings that have been running our lives. We don't have to live in fear. We don't have to live in grief all the time, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I'm someone that's dealt with this too. Everyone has emotional trauma of different kinds, right? And I went through addiction too. I think that I did a lot of shadow work, recovering from really serious substance addiction. My mom ended her life as well. I had to work through a lot of these things, and I had a lot of limiting beliefs about myself too. I got really beat down being in addiction, right? So I had to do a lot of shadow work myself. So I'm speaking from experience. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it will be worth it. So we also see forces on this planet that have been trying to separate us. Separation consciousness. When we are separated, we are easier to control, right? Conquer and divide. That's the thing that's been going on for a long time, right? We are divided by race. We are divided by even gender. You see that a lot. Ethnicity, right? And your social status, your economic status, whatever. There's so many ways we're divided. It's pretty apparent that the force on this planet just seek to divide by your political party, by your beliefs, right? But really, we are all one. Just accept that we've all been manipulated. We've all been through a lot, right? We've all been through some kind of trauma. We've all been programmed, right? But we're all from the same energy source. We're all connected. Energy is connected, right? On a soul level, we are all connected. So when we come here in these vessels and onto this earth, we feel like we are separate. But the whole goal is to come back as one and unite as one. And that's why when we try to unite as one, we feel like we're censored, we're shut down, right? We expand our consciousness, we're expanding our awareness. We're seeing a wider perspective of reality. It's kind of like you're standing on the mountain, right? Instead of being in the middle of, you're in the land below, right? in the middle of everything. You can't see from the higher perspective. You can't see what's going on around you. You can't see the other areas, right? When you're think about being on the top of a mountain, right? That's my example of expanding your consciousness. You're seeing it from a bird's eye view, right? You're seeing the whole picture. You're not just stuck in your own issues and drama and issues of the world, right? You're seeing a wider perspective. You're seeing that everything has a higher purpose. You're seeing that everything is connected on a deeper level. So how do we do this? So how can we, when we've been all traumatized, separated, divided, programmed, how can we all come together as one? It's connecting through the heart space. It's getting out of the ego and into the heart space, into the love frequency, out of the fear frequency, into the love frequency, out of the separation consciousness, into the unity consciousness. It's the heart space is where we find the connection. The heart space is the balance, if we're talking about chakras, right, between the upper and the lower chakras, right? What we're consuming on an emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical level. Things that are of a higher vibration, right? Eating healthier, consuming healthier content, having healthier coping mechanisms. Listen to higher frequency music. Watching things that are more positive, right? Not all negative and fear-based. There are a lot of different ways you can raise your vibration. Even just exercising, connecting more with nature. Earth is going through the consciousness shift too. Earth is a living entity. Earth has energy too. So what we do to ourselves, do to each other, we do to the earth, right? Some people forget that earth is a living entity. So that's why connecting with nature is important. Earth is also going through this consciousness shift. We are like cells that are living on the earth. So treating our planet better. That's why you see some of these things, or you'll see a lot of disasters going on, right? Because it's the energy we've been putting out as a collective. A lot of the planet has a material. The people are putting bad energy out, a lot of evil going on, right? And sometimes Mother Earth is reacting. They say the apocalypse, end of the world, but it's the end of the illusion, end of the Maya. We're shifting to a different frequency. We're seeing that how we are living wasn't working, wasn't sustainable, and now we're finding a different way to live. And that's why sometimes it has to get bad before it gets better, right? It has to get worse before it gets better. The program has to crash before we can install a new program, right? It's outdated, right? It's not working anymore. As the earth shifting in frequency, a lot of our behaviors, a lot of the way we're thinking, feeling, and acting is not working anymore. A lot of the way we're living is not working anymore. So we have to shift with the frequency. That's why if you're going against it, it can feel like really bad. It can feel really out of alignment, right? It doesn't feel good because the earth is shifting in frequency. Collectively we are, and then you're resisting it. You're trying to go back to old habits that don't work anymore, right? That aren't giving you the same effect. So sometimes people will still self-destruct more and more and more. But the good thing is that a lot of times with a lot of suffering, that's how we change, so some people have to go through a lot of suffering in order to be driven to change and to really make the shift that we need to make. Unfortunately, that's how it is a lot of the time. I'm not saying it has to be that way, but you can make these changes now. You can start to live better now. You can choose to think, feel, and act differently right now. We can make the change collectively. But there's some people that are very stuck in the old programming and are stuck in their own ways and the habits and a lot of things that are of a lower nature, right? We have a lot of addictions to things. Addictions to stress, addictions to sex, right? Substances, addiction to negative feelings, addiction to misery. Some people are even addicted to trauma, right? So to working. There's so many addictions, right? And people have based their lives on these belief systems. And now the belief system, aka the matrix, right? The programs are crashing. So, of course, you're going to see chaos because what people believe was true and what people base their life upon, they're realizing we've been deceived, like manipulated, right? Wasn't really what was going on. And that's why you see a lot of chaos going on right now. That's a lot for anybody's psyche, to have all their belief systems, especially the older you are, right? You've had these belief systems for a long time about how the world works, about what you were told about history, about the economy, right? About how kind of life you're supposed to live. A lot of people are just working a 9 to 5, right? They're just living, the quote-unquote the American dream. That's a program too, right? Working all day, working for the man, barely being able to afford the lifestyle we want to live, and then not having enough energy to do the things we want to do, and then having to often do bad habits, addictions to cope with that, with like we're feeling drained, we're not feeling good like we think we should, right? So it becomes a very vicious cycle. So the good thing is, this is actually the greatest time to be alive. Some people might think it's the worst time to be alive, but it's actually the opposite. What you're witnessing is a whole shift, a consciousness shift of a whole planet, the whole collective. That's why we came here. So a lot of people forgot we came here. We all have different purposes, but we did come here to shift in frequency. The program is crashing. The matrix has to fall, right? The veil is being lifted. And we say the veil is being lifted. It's like you're having more awareness. And when they say the apocalypse, it's just the veil is being lifted. You're being shown the truth of things. You're being shown what everything is, right? And it can be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. So, best advice I could have is you're going to see a lot of chaos. You're going to see a lot of strange things. And, we know there are evil forces on this planet, evil entities, right, of all kinds. So, a lot of people are being triggered on many levels. And because I said the lower frequency stuff can't exist, right, when we shift your frequency. So this means all your fears, insecurities, past trauma, all that stuff needs to go, right, for us to ascend and to shift in frequency, shift our consciousness, and to live in more in alignment with where our life's supposed to go. The old ways have to crash. The old system has to crash. We can't build a new if the old doesn't crash. But you have to think the old was built on a house of cards, on an unstable foundation. So now that needs to fall apart so we can build from a stable foundation. And that means going back to the basics. It's back to the basics. What are the basics? Like just, sometimes like self-care. It could be connected more with nature. It could be consuming less. Consumerism is a big thing too. We're realizing we don't really need as much as we thought we need. Realizing that we're giving money away to these corporations that really don't have our best interests in many forms, right? I'm working on that myself. So you can see the collective is having like a dark night of the soul, right? Kind of like not knowing who you are anymore. Your everything, your identity, and your ego, right, is based on it's like the rug is being taken away from you. It's like the illusions are being shown. You're seeing all the illusions. You're seeing all the programming. Some people are waking up. Some people are not. And there's some people that will not wake up. And there's some people that are part of the programming, that are part of the matrix, right? They're going to kind of stay in that consciousness, and that's their choice. And we have to understand people have choices. That means some of your friends, family members aren't going to come with you. They aren't, you're just going to see them vibrate out of your life. Like, they're not going the same direction you're going. They're going to make different choices. You make different choices, and that's okay. We have to allow these people to go sometimes. So you can connect with like-minded people that are going your direction, that are of the same frequency, that are trying to make positive changes, that are trying to heal. When you keep trying to hold on to people, things, places, habits that do not serve you, that are in alignment, I always say let go or get dragged, right? You're going to be dragged right down with them. It's a sinking ship for a lot of people, and some people are going to go down with the sinking ship, and we have to let them. It can be hard when it's family members. It can be hard when it's friends we've cared about for years. But that's part of the consciousness shift, the raising frequency. Some people are still on the fence, and some people can still be inspired. I'm not saying we can't help anybody, but, you have to just accept that some people don't want to be helped. Some people, their intentions aren't good, So, really, it's about living from your heart space. If heart space is connection, think about it. Ego is more separation, right? So, when we think about the consciousness shift and you want to raise your frequency, how can you live more from your heart space? A lot of the heart space is just acceptance, having compassion for yourself, forgiving yourself, having compassion for others, and forgiving others. I'm not saying you shouldn't have boundaries. Boundaries are very important when we're going through a shift like this, because there are some people that can only feed off your negative energy. They only feed off your good energy. So it's very important. Raising your vibration also, and going with the consciousness shift, is also setting clear boundaries with people and just choosing your wellness and well-being over others. That's my best advice to give you right now. Regardless of what's going on around you, there's a lot of chaos. There are a lot of things that are going to try to draw you back into fear, to grief, into all those lower vibration, even guilt and shame, right? But you have to just stay up, just kind of even stay neutral. Just do what you have to do. That means spending more time on yourself. Meditating it's good to meditate at this time right now. You can find guided meditations on YouTube, breath work, nature, and I said back to the basics, eating healthier, just living better, removing some of these toxins from your system, whether it's alcohol, whether it's other substances, whether it's these toxic foods. You're going to see that as the earth is raising in frequency and vibration, these things aren't going to pill you as much anymore. You're going to feel it. You're going to be more sensitive to it, especially people that are empaths or more that are raising their vibration stuff. It's going to be very apparent the things that are not in alignment with where your life wants to go and that are of a lower vibration. You're going to see it. You might not like to watch scary movies anymore, gory stuff anymore, right? He might not want to eat some of the more fattening foods and the bad foods, right? Before. Maybe drinking and partying doesn't really seem as fun anymore. Maybe certain books you read, even things you watch on Netflix or whatever, movies, music you listen to, you're going to see how you feel after you listen to them. A lot of them lowers your vibration. These are all done by design. So a lot of it is just being aware. Awareness is a huge thing. It's okay if you go backwards. It's okay. That's all part of it. We're all doing this together. But just awareness is a change, being aware of it, and then making these changes and consistently making these changes. That's how you reprogram yourself. So you're going through this on a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual level. It could be intense. Sometimes we're more ahead spiritually or emotionally or mentally, or maybe our emotional side needs to catch up, or our physical needs to catch up. Sometimes the physical is the last one to catch up, right? Like for me, I made a lot of changes spiritually, emotionally, mentally, but then the physical, sometimes I have trouble wanting to exercise and wanting to do things that are better for my physical, or I'm getting there, but I think that's kind of the densest part of us, right? So just really today, I want you to just think about this isn't to scare you or anything. It's just this is what's going on the planet. So are you gonna go with the shift or not? Are you gonna take it to the next level or not? Do you want to raise the vibration? Do you want to live more from your heart space? Are you ready to live a different way? Are you ready to shift your consciousness and have more awareness? It can be a tough ride, but I can tell you it's worth it. I went through I did a lot of inner work, I had dark night of the soul, where everything fell apart, right? Everything I based my ego on, life upon, fell apart because I was going in the wrong direction. I was not in alignment with where my life was supposed to go. Now, once I started to wake up more, started doing inner work, I started to heal myself, and healing is an ever-evolving thing, right? It's not just you do one thing, you heal, then you're healed. There's levels to healing, there's levels to awakening, there's levels to evolving, and just as long as you're just going up in that direction, just keep going forward. Even if you go backwards a little bit, just keep taking those steps to heal yourself, keep taking those steps to raise your frequency, to live more from your heart space, and it will get better, and you're going to see things are going to fall in your life. Just allowing the changes to happen. Allowing the changes is a big thing. We have to allow things that are in alignment flow out of our life, so the better things that come together. So we have to allow sometimes things to collapse, things that aren't serving us to collapse and to fall apart. Just allowing is a big part of it. Being aware and allowing, and then making changes, taking action, taking inspired action, making a different choice. A lot of it just making different choices. We want to shift our optimal timeline. It's making different choices as our higher self version. I want you to think, how would my higher self version think, feel, and act? And then you take steps towards it. I'm not saying it's always easy, but with time, if you keep making these choices, that's how you reprogram yourself. That's how you become your best version. And then other people that are more in alignment will come in your life. You'll get more ideas. You'll get, if you even ask for help from whether it's your spirit guides, your source, whatever God, whatever it is, what you believe in, right? The help is there. The veil is thinner right now, so you have more connection to these things. A lot of it just going within. If you don't even believe any of that stuff, going to meditate more, seeing what comes up. A lot of people can't even sit with themselves. We're too busy being distracted. We don't want to feel our feelings. We want to suppress our feelings, but that time is up. It's time to go within. It's time to stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers we need, for validation, for where our life's going to go. It's really going within, and that means sometimes having solitude, spending more time alone and meditating, just going within. I think that's a big part of it too. Realizing that, we don't need a lot of things that we think we need. We don't need guidance from a lot of the forces on this planet that haven't really led us in the right direction, right? It's kind of going within. What do I feel intuitively drawn to do? What's right, and what do I feel is right inside of me? Trust your intuition, trust your gut, when making these decisions. Any decision you make is going to give you a different reality, right? So we want to shift our optimal timeline. It's about really getting into alignment, like I said, with choices that are higher self, with how we think, how we believe, how we feel, how we would act, and we're really working on healing ourselves. Like I said, healing has different levels. So anyway, that was just my little rant for the consciousness shift. For some people that aren't really aware of it, or some people want some inspiration, some guidance. First of all, you're not alone. We're all going through this on a collective level, and it's actually a great time to be alive. We're gonna choose to live a different way and live less from the ego, more to the heart, more into the heart space. more unity instead of separation, having more awareness. It's more expansive. Once you do that, you can really soar and become your best version. You'll see your life really change when you shift your consciousness, you shift your awareness, you raise your frequency, you heal yourself. You're almost unstoppable. Like, you can live the life you want to live, and you can see a vision beyond your current circumstances. But it's not just one of us. It's doing this collectively. Sometimes you want to isolate from everybody, and while we do need to set boundaries to cut people off that aren't good for us, but we also need to work together and all evolve together and make these choices collectively, because we're all connected. The choice you make affects the other person, affects your neighbor, right? So a lot of it is the unity and raising our consciousness and healing collectively, and also spreading this awareness, speaking your truth. If something that can help the other person, maybe making content on it, maybe writing something, or helping each other, working together, to change our planet, working together to shift our consciousness and to help each other. We all have different experiences, different perspectives, and we can all work together and help each other and really make a difference and shift the consciousness together. It's like I said, it's a collective effort. It's not just one person's show here. So that's all I have for today. So I'm gonna sign off here on Trailblazers of the Universe, and make sure to follow this podcast and give me a 5-star rating if applicable. And I also have a YouTube channel, Trailblazers of the Universe, where I create videos on spirituality, self-improvement, relationships, a little bit of everything. I also offer intuitive transformational coaching. So if you need help changing your life around, if you need help going with your spiritual awakening, really, I've also been through addictions, mental health issues, toxic relationships, a lot of grief and trauma. I can help guide you through it as well. If you're going through some dark times and you need some inspiration, you need someone to help coach you a little bit, I can help you as well. My contact information will be in the description of this podcast. So have a good day, everybody. Namaste.